Welcome to Agape Ministries. This is Pastor Sam taking you on this beautiful virtual tour so you can enjoy this perfect 75 degree Fahrenheit, 23 degrees Celsius weather. It's in early November 2020, and if you're especially stuck at home, this would be very nice for you to enjoy. And the topic of the day is the US elections. Who's going to win? Well, I have a hunch it's going to be Trump. But beyond that, what else is happening in the world? It's the same story, folks. It's the forces of good versus evil. And we have to daily remember that and sort of keep in our prayers our family members and friends and our politicians, and pray for peace. Pray for peace, because there are so many places on earth that are experiencing war action right now. Wars are just the most devastating thing. I mean, we're going through this economic warfare, and we barely can survive, so to speak. But let me just take you through this beautiful garden so you can enjoy the flowers and everything else that we have here for you. Look at these beautiful flowers in November. Isn't that amazing? Roses blooming, blossoming. Yeah, that is the beauty of God's creation. So, folks, we have to pray. We have to pray without fail every day, 10 times a day. You know, our Muslim brothers pray 5 times a day. I believe we should pray at least 5 times a day, possibly more, given what we're going through. And this will ensure that our family members are protected. A little update about the young man I met that possibly wanted to join our ministry as a computer programmer. And unfortunately, he had a bad habit. He was into drugs. And it's very unfortunate, but I had a hunch that he would be controlled by the forces of evil and disappear. And he did disappear, actually. I got an email from his girlfriend that asked me if I hear from him to let her know, because they're all searching for him right now. He's just, you know, folks, drugs are very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous, not just because it's addictive. It's actually literally it's a tool that's used by demons to control your mind. So, you know, if I'm trying to keep everything as clear as just filtered organic water and the guy is taking some kind of mushrooms, I mean, what is there to discuss, folks? What is there to discuss? You know, of course I gave him sent him, emailed him a link for to watch the video with Father Demetrius talking about demon oppression, demon possession, but he doesn't want to listen to that. So, well, but the demons are not going to really sort of relinquish their control that easily, and so they make people overdose and make people sort of disappear, and that's what happened to this particular fellow. Yeah, it's a sad situation, but the only thing I can do is pray for his safety, that he will return. Whatever happened to that accident that he was in, car accident, he walked away. Nobody knows where he's at, basically. It was a car accident. He was going too fast, and it's long story short, they're looking for him right now. So I'm praying for his safety. I'm praying for him to sort of regain his composure, return to his family, to his life. And so I just hope maybe he's just hibernating somewhere, hiding for a few days, and he's gonna go back to normal life. But that's what happened, folks. So these are not just stories that the demon forces, the dark forces are gonna take you away or make you jump off the balcony or get into an accident. This is real life. This is what happened. I met with the guy on Thursday the 22nd, and then 2 weeks later on Monday I guess it was the 2nd of November, or Tuesday, I guess, he went missing at 6:30 a.m. So That's sad situation. Very, very sad. So, folks, I want you to know these forces are real. If your eyes were open, your physical eyes, if you could see the reality, you would see angels and demons battling here. This is why our brains are so big. It's not that we use just 1% of our brain power. They're so big is to filter out that horrific scenes, the imagery that we cannot handle. We would not be able to live if we actually saw what was actually happening in front of our eyes. We just see the beauty of God's creation, and that's enough for us. And the rest of the picture is being filtered out, not allowed for us to see. So if somebody wants to take some mushrooms to see that stuff, that's like going against God's design. Indeed, we're not designed to be, at least in this state of our being today, not when we were first created. Today we're not able to handle that information, that imagery, folks. So don't try to get too close. If you were given a gift, that's one thing. Consider blessed, or you're one of a kind. But if everybody, it's not for everybody. And so anyway, folks, today, to make this beautiful message very peaceful, just pray for peace in your heart, in your family, for your family members, for the safety of your community where you live, and world peace, for all the wars to be curtailed, ended around the world. Right now, for example, there's a war going on between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Armenia is Christian, Azerbaijan is Muslim. And of course, Armenia is backed by Russia, and Azerbaijan is backed by the Muslim ally Turkey. And so again, there's this polarized world, folks. And Armenia was the first country in the world to adopt Christianity as its state religion in 301 AD, folks. 301 Anno Domini, in the year of our Lord. It's very sad to see that in that sort of autonomous region of Nagorno-Karabakh, that's where the action is happening. They're bombing the residential areas, folks. I mean, on both sides, I'm sure, but I'm just saying, the same way this guy disappeared, how the demons were involved, the same way demons were involved in that war in Armenia. They're just a different, higher-ranking demons. It's the same forces, folks. They're real. Just like right now, there's bombing going on in Armenia, and this guy disappeared that I've just met on Thursday. It's the results of the dark forces. This is why I'm always pushing you. And by the way, he had a son. He told me when we met on Thursday, he told me he had a son he lost 2 years ago. His son, so he is 46, his son was 21, and his son was a gymnast. And he went to the lake, and they were basically, he was doing a flip. He was a gymnast. He was a good athlete. He was doing a flip. He miscalculated the move, so he hit the deck with his head or something. Long story short, he ended up in the pool, unconscious. And then his friend found him hours later. And that's very unfortunate because, again, this is what friends are for. Somebody was supposed to be watching this guy. Yeah, his name was Bobby. It's very unfortunate. So that this man lost his son 2 years ago. Now he's gone missing. Yeah, and his girlfriend lost her husband. He committed suicide. It's like I don't want to use the word generational curse, but it's the dark force. It follows certain people. And of course, I asked him. He told me he's an atheist. He doesn't believe in God. So I was hoping to maybe, bring him a little closer to God. But once you're on that path, the devil doesn't want to relinquish its power that it has over you. If you're an atheist, if you're taking drugs, if you're leading that kind of a lifestyle, you're under the control of the forces. And so that's the moral of the story, folks. For all of you who want peace in their lives, pray to God, seek God's guidance, protection, wisdom. And pray constantly. Not just on your knees, but face down, prostrate. I always push that because that's what gets things done. Remember when Jonah went to Nineveh and he preached to the Ninevites that the town would be destroyed unless they fall down and ask God for forgiveness for all the evil that they've done. They have all repented, folks. The Ninevites repented and God spared the town. Why is it we refuse to do that? That part really, I don't understand this. It's impossible for me to understand. We're seeing the pandemic, we're seeing the economic collapse, we're seeing all kinds of problems around the world, around us. And with this full of pride, we still don't want to fall down on our face and ask for God's forgiveness and help. Which I don't understand this, folks. It's as simple. Fall on your face and earnestly ask for God's help and forgiveness. And He will forgive us and He will bless us richly. This is why I'm doing this podcast, folks. It's because we can't meet. There is no more church. If you haven't noticed, I'm doing this to reach you remotely, no matter where you are. And so essentially this is a short devotional, a short sermon here that I'm sharing with you. And if you're stuck at home, I want you to have this beautiful, beautiful view here. I'm going to be walking so you can see a little bit more of the garden. So this is the purpose, folks. This is the purpose of this sermon, is to share with you the beauty of God's creation, His Word, His will, and what you can have. So in a more practical way, everybody knows Pastor Sam is the most practical pastor on the planet, or so I think. So what can you do? So for health, drink lemon water. You marinate in a glass jar. You get up early when the sun is just rising. Don't watch TV, don't read the newspapers. You say your prayers, you do your meditation over your water for half an hour. You don't sit down, you don't lay down. You have to be vertical. If you sit down or lay down, there's a certain valve that opens up in your stomach and the digestion begins. So you want to be vertical for half an hour. Then you eat a grapefruit. It will activate your immune system, your metabolism. It's got certain enzymes. So if you need to lose weight, that will help tremendously. I've lost approximately 40 pounds in 90 days by eating a whole grapefruit in the morning and then just in the evening a small dinner. But you have to be active. You have to be walking, jogging, just be active if you can. I'm jogging every day, playing tennis, So I recommend you do the same. As far as money, economically, what can you do? Well, Pastor Sam has a suggestion. Look into international commodities trading. Right now, the only thing that's recession-proof is the international commodities. And I'm referring to the energy sector, not necessarily toothpaste and toothpicks and brushes and stuff like that, even though that might work. But I'm just telling you, if you're entrepreneurially minded, of course, this may not be for everybody. I understand if you're a 9-to-5 person, this would be a different world for you. You're used to a different routine and you're not sort of functioning on your own, and you need just a steady paycheck. For that, I don't know what to tell you. But if you have some entrepreneurial blood in you, a streak in your system, well, look into that. I've started doing it. See, I used to be a currency trader, made my first million when I was 14 and a half. I was still in school. I was doing it. I had to skip some school to accommodate for that. My parents never knew. But after that, I got into international commodities business. After you make your money, you don't want to continue in that trend unless you're on Wall Street professionally doing it, because it comes and it goes. So you want to be smart about that. But where you cannot lose is if you have a contract on a commodity that's going to be delivered on a regular basis from destination A to destination B. It's a contractual thing. You just have to line it up. And that might be your thing. What's possible? Normally, I get a contract that's a $12 million contract per year. So you do the math, divided by 12, what it pays. But this is not for everyone. Again, you have to be extremely entrepreneurially minded. You have to be sort of a global mindset. If you speak multiple languages, that's a plus. And on and on and on. But at least I'm giving you some ideas how to make money in 2020, how to survive this pandemic. By the way, it's completely fake. The virus is real and everything else is a global agenda. The elitists want to reduce the population from 7 billion to about 1 billion. It's been written out. The Trilateral Commission, just read their articles. They even go as far, the minute details down to the internet speed in certain countries of Eastern, Northern, Central Europe. And so it's incredible how because they need to make sure that everybody's connected. So they go from back when they started, it was in the 90s, they had it was 56K connection, where most modems were connecting at 42K. So they wanted to boost the connection to 56K, folks. This is a dial-up modem. This was 1992. The year was 1992, so don't be surprised. Yes, it's not a 10 megabit connection like your DSL modem today is capable of, 10 to 20 megabit connection. But 56K, that's the maximum speed. Or most modems were connecting at 42K. Do you understand how slow it was? You probably don't, but if you do remember 1992, then you understand what I'm saying. So they were planning ahead. They were saying they were investing into this infrastructure. So this Hotmail, Yahoo, all this free email accounts, it's funded by them. Billions and hundreds of billions of dollars were invested to just give away, create these fake companies, that would give you this Yahoo, this Hotmail, this nonsense, so that they can track you, get inside your emails. In a capitalistic system, nothing is free, folks. If you go to a restaurant and the proprietor says, well, the lunch is on me, what are you going to say? Of course you're going to question that. Why is it free? I want to pay for my meal. But when they give you free 6 gigabytes of data, folks, for your email to be used, how is it that you don't question that? Who's paying for this? Well, this is how you're compromising, you're giving up your freedom, your privacy, for the AI very soon to be activated. So what it's doing right now, it's reading me, you, everybody else. That's why I'm not showing my face. You see, it's got this most sophisticated facial recognition technology like you wouldn't believe. And by the way, you're screwed no matter what, because it recognizes your voice too. And your hands. So the face, it's a positive ID. With the voice and the face, it's going to struggle a little bit, but not very much. So in other words, it's studying you, me, your Facebook, everything that you've written, down to your first email, folks, down to your very first email. And so when they activate this beast, this AI program, it would be much more powerful than Alexa. It will have human-like features. You could understand. It will be able to joke with you, understand your sense of humor. It will speak every language in the world, every dialect in the world. I'm talking about dialect. So if you talk like a hillbilly from Arkansas or Texas, it will speak that dialect with you. You will not know the difference, folks. If you have some, God only knows, Mandarin, something Nepalian accent from the Kathmandu region of Nepal, it will speak that very dialect where you live. You will not be able to tell. It's the most sophisticated program on the face of the earth. So it's reading all of this data right now. It's getting acquainted with us. And so once it's introduced, it's going to replace the police force, the judges, and everything else. With self-driving cars, as you know, that will be in place everywhere in the next few years. If you say something that is outside of the norm in society, this AI will know right away, because anything you post, anything you say will be in this recorded format. I'm saying if you speak publicly, and even if you don't speak publicly, Alexa records everything. I hope you know this. So what will happen is the AI will, next time you take a cab, whether it's called Uber or something else, you'll be driven in a self-driving car, autopilot. So the doors will be locked by the AI, and you'll be driven to a detention facility for a serious talk. And they'll explain to you what you did wrong, that you cannot talk about this or say something like that. And if you will repent and recant and change your attitude, they'll drive you back to where you were headed. But if not, you're going to remain at that facility forever. So the prison population will rise. dramatically. They're going to take care of that first. Well, it's a business, obviously. As you know, in prison, you may not know this, but some people may know that everything costs, 20 times more than on a regular market. For example, a payphone where prisoners are making collect calls to their friends and family brings something like $15,000 per day, per payphone. So when they pick up the phone and start calling at $5 a minute or something like that, I don't know the exact rate, but it's the most lucrative business to be in. Anything in prison is the most lucrative business from the capitalistic greedy standpoint, meaning if you tap into the system, you're golden, meaning if you're part of that system. So they need those prisoners. It's a big business, folks. Nobody talks about it because from the minute you do, you disappear, because that's where the real power is. You go against the prison system, meaning like you start to criticize and you say, well, it's a private prison. How can nowhere in the world you have a private prison system? Everything is state owned in other countries. Well, it's a private enterprise, folks. Somebody's making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. Very, very profitable system. So they need those inmates. So they create this, folks, you have no idea how deep this goes. And this guy, Overton, from Michigan, who was a political science genius, he helped set up the system, how to control the minds of the masses. So if you look up Overton's window, it's basically a simplified version of how the global elites, the ruling class of America, controls the lower classes, the commoners, the villagers, the trash, basically. That's what the upper class calls the lower class. There is no equality, folks. It's a myth. Don't believe that. Don't believe that. You're very much disposable. You're sheep, you're herd. Yes, you're just a sheep. And that's a nice way they call you. It's like super nice. They use very bad language. I don't want to repeat it here, but you get the point. You're just nothing but a social security number that brings in the you're overtaxed, overworked, underpaid, overstressed. And if you live in Illinois, if you ever lived in Chicago, Illinois, you get your phone bill and you see that there's like 17 pages of tax after tax. It's a racketeering. It's a racket. They call it tax, but it's a mafia thing, folks. There's no difference between Al Capone shooting his machine guns and getting his illegal racket business and this sort of this telecom mafia, how they bill 80 cents here, 80 cents here for this, for that. It's a tyranny. It's a financial tyranny. By the way, folks, a little info for you. In Muslim countries where Sharia law is law of the land, they do not charge interest for loans. So if you buy a house, the bank buys the property and then you pay them kind of like rent for a small fee, like they charge you like a transactional fee. That's how the bank makes money. But in America, you buy, let's say, a $200,000 house, and in 30 years, through interest, whether it's 3% or 5%, or like in the 80s was 18%, you would pay $1.5 million. So it's a scam. And so the bankers are all, obviously, if they hear this, they won't be happy. But the point is, that's the truth. So in Islam, it's the biggest sin to charge interest because it's a form of slavery. And if your brains were clear, you would understand this. Interest means slavery. So the bankers own your ass completely. You're just a slave, regardless of your skin color. It doesn't have to be, a certain skin color. It doesn't matter what skin color you are. You have a loan, a car loan, this kind of loan, any kind of loan, even a credit card. If you're stuck in that like a hamster on the wheel, and your wheel is spinning, and you're on that wheel and you can't get out, it's because they got you, motherfucker. Wake up, bitch. You're their fucking bitch, motherfucker. That's how the system works. I'm using real language here, and that's like a street language, like the reality, motherfucker. So how the fuck do you get out from that, spinning wheel? You can't. The first step is for me to introduce to you, to open your eyes so you can see the truth for the first time in your life. So that's what bankers do to you. So you get a $200,000 house, even if it's quote unquote decent interest rate, you're going to pay 3, 4, 5, 6 times more at the end of that amortization period. It's a fancy word. They always use these fancy words so you don't get it. Like if you're the you know, like a simple person, working class, they want you to like be impressed. So that's why in the medical field, you know, he puts on a coat, and sort of he says, well, this is the aneurysm, or this is the it's the well, I don't know, let's just say it's the you know, cardiac arrest. You get the point. They have these fancy Latin names that derive from Latin, so it sounds like something, you know, it's got the weight. So you can sort of respect the term, respect them. And so the same in banking, you know, all these terms. I mean, it's nonsense, folks. If your eyes were open, you would just spit in their face, because they are now using you. You're their slave. You're the slave to their system. This is what's happening in the capitalistic West. So there used to be two powers. Like the East, Soviet Union, had a ruble. It was 1 ruble equals $1, but it was not convertible. Those were two different systems. And now there's only China left. Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, and they're part of the marking system. They're very smart over there, but they, you know, you can't escape the tentacles of the greedy capitalistic pig. You know, they're going to get you no matter where you are. And so, because they need the slaves, remember? They need the distribution system for the market. And so, long story short, folks, long story short, it's a dark, 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 dark world. How do they entertain the global elites? How do they entertain themselves? Well, if you remember Pizzagate, that was the scandal that opened up the what's his name, Podesta, who is the helper of Hillary Clinton, that mafia. Just Google Pizzagate. So you go to a restaurant, you buy some food, and then you buy children. You have sex with them, you kill them, you drink their blood. But you know, that's the thing. Prostitutes, female prostitutes, no longer interest them. They're into children, into killing children. Actually, where do they get those children? Well, from all over the world, but particularly they would collect them from orphanages, orphanages in the Midwest, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois. And this guy Lawrence King would fly everywhere on a private jet, mind you, pick him up, take him to Iowa. There's some kind of something going on in Iowa distribution. There's some kind of connection center. Maybe he was dropping off some of them, and then the rest of the kids he would take to Washington D.C. And then then you know, those kids disappear after a few weeks. So they have to have a constant supply of them. That's Pizzagate. Remember, like Watergate, Pizzagate. Look it up. Google that. You remember what happened to Jeffrey Epstein or Epstein? He got killed in his prison cell because he had to be killed. Otherwise, he would have released all the names and what was going on. So the global elites didn't want to be named in any kind of a court case. So they paid somebody to kill him. Bada bing, bada boom, as they say on the East Coast. Done. So that's how they entertain themselves, folks. So now imagine you, a Bible-believing, law-abiding, tax-paying saint. You're afraid to speed. Oh, 35. My goodness, I'm going 40. Oh, I hope the law enforcement doesn't catch me. Well, the guy just raped a girl or a boy who was 6 years old, killed them, drank their blood, and he's on his way to his family, kisses his little children and his wife, that's on paper wife, you know. That's good for the marriage. And he's sort of like saying, wow, I only had one pleasure tour today. Meaning, it's not enough for them, folks. It's not enough. So when you see wars that are created, folks, it's people influenced by demons. And these wars typically are, you know, they're caused for multiple reasons. In reality, logically. So somebody benefits economically because when you bring in the military in the United States, that creates, it's a huge industry. So you bring in the troops, it costs the fuel, the this and that. So it begins to generate money, folks, for certain people. It's very, very powerful. Nowhere else in the world. Other countries are defending themselves. They have these missiles, tanks. Somebody, happens to invade their country, they're going to defend their territory. But the United States, no. Let's start a war, a fake war in Vietnam. Remember how it started? There's a false flag operation in Vietnam. Read that, false flag operation. The Vietnamese never crossed any lines. It was just a convenient way to make hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, test some weaponry. So the Soviet Union and the United States were testing their weapons on Vietnamese territory. How convenient, far away. But the point is they were chosen. It's like it's just unbelievable, folks, how these lobbyists in Washington, D.C. were paid to do certain things, and those people who started the war create every single opportunity for the war to start, folks. Every single opportunity for the war to start. So how do they sleep at night, folks? Well, they belong to the devil. They sleep probably just fine. They don't have any qualms about that. But it's unfortunate, folks. It's very, very, very unfortunate. And here I'm talking to you about, you know, praying to God versus those people killing millions of people, and like what happened in Iraq. Remember when the Powell, that mulatto guy, you know, Powell, he shook a little vial of white laundry detergent, and he said it was weapons of mass destruction, chemical warfare in Saddam's hands. Saddam never had anything like that in his life. So they invaded the country. About 3 million people were displaced or killed, but they don't care. You know how much money they made? Close to $5 trillion. With the troops being in, troops being out. They're destroying the infrastructure and then rebuilding the infrastructure, folks. This is where the money is. When they destroy the bridges, then they rebuild the bridges right away, because they need the infrastructure. It's a fucked up world, man, we live in. It's like so dark, it's unreal, man. Unfucking real. It's just like in your worst nightmare, you wake up, somebody tells you this is how the Western system operates. So one country benefits and the rest of the countries suffer. And so no wonder the Chinese are not happy with the US. They say, what the fuck, motherfuckers, you know, this sort of a reserve currency, we're gonna change that. And so they're trying to make yuan, their currency, the reserve currency. They're trying. And now, bada bing, bada boom, we got the virus now, huh? How interesting, folks. Do you see how intricate the web goes? Everything is interconnected. And of course, now we're here looking at God's beauty and talking about world politics. It doesn't go very well together. So, oh, look at this beautiful creature of God. Is this squirrel? See? When we see this beautiful creature of God, our souls should be leaping with joy, elevated. And that's what happens to me. That means you're normal. If you look at a cat or a dog or a squirrel or a rabbit and nothing happens inside your soul, folks, if you cannot relax, or especially if you cannot relax in front of a brook or a river or a pond and sort of collect your thoughts and get on the frequency of God, that means there's something wrong with you. Seriously wrong. That you need to retune and redo something about your psyche. You got something was done to you, some trauma was done to you in your childhood or just early in life, because that is God's beauty. You see, this is the frequency of God. I'm going to chase the little squirrel. See, look at it. Yeah, we're playing a little game. Look at it. Oh yeah, see what's going on and enjoys it. I'm going to catch it right here. See, we're playing, and it knows I'm playing with it. I know. I mean, it can sense my energy. It knows I'm not here going to eat it. So that's what you need to do, folks. You just need to be outdoors as much as possible, jogging, running. That's for your health. Drinking filtered water, saying prayers in the morning, over the water, wait half an hour. It's very important, without sitting down, or you have to be vertical. Then you eat a great organic large grapefruit, the largest one you can find. And then what you do is you actually, after that, you're done for a few hours. Then you come back, you eat a small dinner, then go for a walk, enjoy this beautiful nature. Hopefully, see, I try to take you away from, I'm always in the park with you. I'm showing you God's creation. Try to be in the park or some nature area as much as possible. So if you live in the sticks somewhere, that's good. That means you're better connected with nature. If you're outdoors, this is a massive star. The sun, or a beautiful sun, is actually a violent star. I mean, it's It takes what, 8 minutes for the light to get here? So if we were a little bit closer to the sun or a little bit further away, life could not be possible. It's just incredible, folks, how beautifully fortunate and blessed we are to have everything in place the way it is. So enjoy it, folks, enjoy it. Try to enjoy it. If you're suffering from, let's say, if somebody dumped you and you're kind of going through a divorce, or you had a death in the family, my prayers are with you, folks. I've been there. And it's time, there's time for us to be joyous. There's time for us to be grieving and in mourning. And there's time for us to be outdoors. And the lifestyle that we're sort of seeing being imposed on us, that we have to use this technology, and that's nonsense, folks. You don't have to be using any of these gadgets and iPhones and none of that. You don't. So try to stay away from the computer as much as you can. Try to, be outdoors mostly. That's what I recommend. Listen to birds. Listen to the birds chirping, singing. Look at that. Let's do it together, see? Isn't that beautiful? Oh my God. Okay, I'm trying to get away from the blower here, but anyway, he follows me. It's okay, it's okay. We're gonna move to the other side. But the point, folks, is very, very, very simple. We come to this planet in the eyes of eternity. I'm saying, in the eyes of eternity, we come to this planet for about 5 minutes if we get to live to 90. You get the transition here. 90 years if you get to live, that's 5 minutes in the eyes of eternity. If you're already 30 or 40, you lived half of that. So if you're listening, you're watching this, and you're already 35, 45 years of age, you only have a few minutes left, like literally 2 minutes left out of the 5 you were allotted. So what are you going to do about it? You got to have already formulated who you are, where you're headed, what your outlook on life is. You got to have that ready. I mean, you already need to know who you are, is my point. If you don't know this, you're way, 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 way behind the 8 ball, so to speak. And I'm here to help you formulate that. I'm here to help you, bring you up to speed with everything I know about health, wealth, and soon I'm gonna do a separate website for dating, Christian dating. That's right. I'm gonna be this COVID-19 dating. I'm gonna have that. Look for coviddating.com. Why? Because this whole fake pandemic is just designed to sort of, our nucleus of the family is already has been affected in a negative way. We're beyond the tipping point. So now the relationships are not happening. All the women are saying, pay attention to me. For the first time in America, I'm seeing women wearing these, regular women wearing makeup as much as the European women, who usually overdo it, kind of thing, compared to American women, because they want the attention. What else do you want? So that's what I'm gonna do next, is create a portal to sort of reunite everybody that was affected by this unfortunate fake pandemic. And I'm gonna reunite the couples, future couples, whatever you would call it, and they'll have a way of creating a family, and on very strong biblical foundation, they'll have a chance to maintain a family relation. You see, without it, there's no chance, folks. There is zero chance. That's the purpose of this channel. So it's like you're going to church without going to church, because you cannot go to church. Everything's closed. And they're just now doing a second lockdown in Europe, Belgium, the UK, and other countries. And it's coming to America as well, folks. It's all a global world right now. It's not, we cannot be isolated forever. And so this is a church that will find you. It's a sort of a virtual church. So you don't have to go there. It's going to come to you. All you have to do is just continue watching our podcasts, and basically, just Share it with your family and friends if you enjoy it, if you feel you're learning something useful. And I will continue to share with you everything I know about finance, about health, about spirituality, about how to crush the skull of the demon. That's a biblical phrase, by the way. This is where I got it from. It's Paul, I believe, in Romans wrote about it. But the point, folks, is very simple. I'm making this message so easy to swallow or digest that you not only getting a beautiful view, especially if you're stuck at home. So I'm walking, I'm getting an exercise, you're walking with me, you're enjoying the scenery, you're getting some useful information, learning, you know, putting in your pipe and smoking it, meaning you gotta use it in the future. And when the Antichrist comes, which will be very, very soon, you are gonna be prepared. You already know what to do, where to go. Hopefully you already have some kind of a compound built somewhere, and I'm being serious, some kind of a log cabin in the middle of nowhere where there's no cell phone connection, where you have some supplies and you know how to take care of your getting your food supplies. And that's my preparation for you, folks. This is it. Everybody was expecting the Antichrist sometime in the distant future, but look at this global pandemic. It's global, folks. And so if you don't get a vaccine, if you refuse to take a vaccine, then that will be used against you by the system to imprison you. That's going to be used against you, folks. How convenient. A made up fake pandemic. How clever. I mean, typical devilish stuff. Typical bullshit of the devil. That's how he operates. The Bible says when he opens his mouth, he speaks the lies, and he speaks that's his mother tongue, his native language. So he's the father of all lies. And so, folks, it's incredible. And how some people don't see it, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just amazed. You know, like when you see people wearing masks, like in front of the camera, like a reporter does some kind of a footage, and he or she wears a mask. For what? Not to infect the camera? Are you fucking kidding me? What's inside the brain? Well, folks, they're puppets, minions of the system. They have to promote this fake message. So a silly cameraman or a reporter gets in front of the camera, wears a mask, and that teleports a message subconsciously for you to wear the mask. And this is serious. It's unbelievable. The virus is real, but the virus was first created, this virus, in 1942 by the British military to be used against the German troops. Look it up. They were testing this virus on the island of Gilead, off the coast of Wales. They exploded a bomb full of this virus spores, and they were testing on 80 sheep. See, these people are a little bit smarter. They don't wear any masks. They know what's up. And so, folks, the sheep died almost instantaneously. One of them was missing. They looked around. They got probably washed offshore, got dizzy, and fell into the water, and then got into Wales. And then from Wales, some of the farmers got sick right away. Their animals got sick. And then, folks, what happened? This is unbelievable. That virus spread in 1942, within weeks, into Eastern Europe, Central Europe, Eastern Europe, Siberia, and Japan. And we had close to 500,000 people died because of this unknown virus. And what I'm sharing with you, it was recently declassified. It's top secret military, and the British decided not to use this weapon, biological weapon, against the Germans because it was so powerful and unpredictable, so deadly, that they could have lost their own population, meaning the entire planet would have been lost because of one sheep that spread the virus. 500,000 people died, folks, and they didn't know what hit them. It was very similar to Ebola, folks, in 1942. Basically, you contract this virus and you only have a few hours to live. Like with Ebola, if you get Ebola, there is no help. You boil it, 8 hours later, you better find yourself a little hole that you need to dig for your family to bury you. You gotta stay completely, folks, with that virus, completely isolated. It's not like you sort of sneeze at that. Like you have to keep 20 meters away, like 60 feet away from the person that's infected. If you don't, you might catch it, and then you are dead. So you see the difference right now. They created this milder version of a virus, so it doesn't kill you. Right now, everybody's walking around. Well, you might say, well, Pastor Sam, how do they benefit from that? Look at this beautiful, beautiful trees. The fall is one of my favorite seasons. Well, folks, how they benefit is very simple. This virus gets inside of you. It's inside of all of us right now, and it's using us as a host. And it stays dormant inside all of us until a certain future signal that will activate the virus. What signal, you might ask? I'm going to tell you. It's going to be a transmission of a radio frequency of a certain kind. Beautiful trees. Look at that. Look at this. It's absolutely gorgeous. Oh my, oh my. And so the trees, folks, I mean, sorry, not the trees, but the radio frequency will, I'm still trying to enjoy the scenery, you see. The radio frequency will activate this I don't want to use this word COVID-19, this bullshit virus here that they created. And indeed, it will kill the population. And they will introduce it region by region by region by region. So let's say let's start with Nigeria, because it's the fastest growing African population right now. Nigeria, it's out of control. They're making babies every something like 2 seconds. So they decided to wipe out, let's say, Nigeria. My brothers, sisters in Nigeria, forgive me for using this. This is just an example. They point all the antennae, or they activate that transmission base, that system in Nigeria. And whether it will be satellite or local antenna, it doesn't matter. They'll find a way. They activate, people will die like you wouldn't believe. So the whole country of Nigeria, let's say, forgive me for using Nigeria, but for the lack of a better example here, will be wiped out. Then they're going to go to the next country and next country and next country. They're going to do it gradually. That's how they're going to wipe out the population. This is it, folks. And they will, of course, not tell you about it. They'll just push the button in some basement and start doing it when they decide to. It's time for them. And they're in control, folks. It's the demonic, it's the, it's the devil's incarnate out there. Remember, if that mulatto guy was shaking that little vial with laundry detergent and said, this is the weapons of mass destruction, Saddam Hussein never had any weapons of mass destruction. He lied. They lied. I mean, what, you kidding me, folks? They're not human. Those people are not human, folks. They are just they'll kill, destroy. It's a pleasure for them. Remember, the devil was the murderer from the beginning. That's his nature. And all of these people are the devil's servants who are part of that system. And so, folks, enjoy, I guess, the rest of this beautiful scenery here as much as we can. Time is of the essence. We must prepare. We must be praying for God's, well, if you want to call it, delaying this process so we can enjoy our time here a little bit more. That would be what I would suggest, because quite frankly, if we are already seeing this COVID-19 causing so much devastation globally, imagine what will happen once it will be fully activated. I would say it's impossible to even imagine. I would say it would be the most catastrophic event outside of that asteroid that hit Arizona, that killed all the planet, all the life on Earth. Besides the marine life. The marine life remained, I believe, but everybody who walked on the surface of the Earth just died. It's very, very sad. Very, very sad what happened 65 million years ago. So now we're dealing with the same kind of a artificial population reduction. So we will be artificially reduced to nothing. you got to at some point realize it saves time. It saves time, folks. If you know someone that's on drugs, tell them to wake up, shake him up. It's the devil's tool. But be careful, because the devil would not want to relinquish that slave from its customer base, so to speak. And so the devil might cause that person to overdose. So you have to use some spiritual wisdom. Prayer, supplication, fasting. That's the only way to deal with any type of a and be kind, folks. The message here is to be kind, even though somebody, you may not get along with your friends or family member or whoever you're dealing with. Remember, life is short. We're very fragile. Today you're here, tomorrow you're gone. Look at this beauty here, folks. Look at this beauty. And so that's my sermon for the day, folks. This is my sermon for the day. I hope you got something new or something useful from it. And there's more to come. You just wait till I make, as we get closer to all these events, I'm gonna produce a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful video on before it happens, type of thing, get ready. And when it does happen, God help us all. So on this note, my usual benediction. May the Lord send his angels to guard us all and protect us from all evil. May you be safe. May you experience God's agape love, which is unconditional love. And may you experience God's peace that transcends all understanding. On this note, God bless you. Take care. And I hope to see you at the very top.